Hey boys and girls, okay, go ahead and get out your math workbook and have Mom, Dad, Uncle Bob tear these pages out. We're looking at page numbers 274 and it has an A at the bottom. We need 274A, we need 274B, 274C, 274D, and the last one is 274E, and on the other side it says F. So we need all of those, and what I'm going to ask you to do is to go ahead and I want you to work really hard. You're going to need your scissors, okay? And we're going to work really hard on just cutting right on the lines, and then we're going to talk about those words. So let's just cut the first page out, which is 274A and B. And we're going to talk about those words together. What we're doing here today, boys and girls, is we're making flashcards. Okay, normally what I would do in the classroom is I would write all these things up on the board on our math wall. And we just don't have that. So we have to do this at home. So I've cut all around the edges, but I'm not done because I still need to cut through on these dotted lines. So I'm just going to go nice and slow. You take your time. Remember, you can always pause the video if I'm going too fast for you. Okay? It's difficult when you're working on your own because you don't know how long it's taking other people. So you just take the video and you pause it if it's going too fast. We're going to talk about one page at a time, okay? Let's see. Here we go. Flashcards are little cards that, well, they help us to understand. Like when we do our subitizing, I have flashcards, and that helps to keep us practicing and being quick. Or when we have our words we know, those are flashcards. So usually it's something that's helping you to study, helping you to learn something, and it's a really quick, easy way to do that. Okay, so I've just done the first page, and I want you to take a look. I'm just laying these out on my desk, on my table, and I'm going to pick, the word that begins with ooh. Find the word that begins with ooh. What letter is that? L. Find the word that begins with L. Do you see it? And the word is length. Say it with me. Length. Good. Now turn around and take a look at that. Turn around. It tells us what length means. It says length. The length of this pencil is 6 paper clips. Okay? So we're saying we have taken, when we are measuring length, sometimes you can use a ruler or a measuring tape, but you can also use objects. It doesn't necessarily have to be a ruler. And so if in this case we have paper clips, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so if we put all of those together, that is the length of the pencil. So that's length. It's how long something is. Okay, all right, put that one to the side. And now let's find the word. There are 2 that begin with a k, k, k. And the next letter is a. So can you find this word? This is capacity. Say it with me. Capacity. Yeah. And now turn it around. And so capacity is the amount a container can hold. So look, we've got this milk jug here, right? And most of us drink milk, I would imagine, or if you have juice or a bottle of water. I've got a bottle of water here, okay? And so the amount of liquid that can be put into this, you can see I've already had some. So the amount of all the liquid that can go into this container is the capacity. What's the capacity of the bottle? What's the capacity in your milk container, right? It's just the amount that the container can hold. Not necessarily how much is in there, but how much could it hold? You see, I've drunk some of my water, okay? So it's not how much do I have in there, it's how much could I have in there, right? How much could I have in there? Good. Okay, let's put that one to the side. Let's pick up the other word that begins with a k, with a C. And the word is column. Column, say it with me, column. Good. Now let's turn it over to see what it means. Well, right away, what are we looking at? What do you notice here? This looks like our hundreds chart that we had in the classroom, okay? And so they have put columns go from top to bottom, okay? So they have put a rectangle around 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They have put a column or they have put a rectangle down the column of our teen words or our teen numbers. Okay, good. All right, let's go with this one. It's got two words. It says decade numbers. Say that with me. Decade numbers. Good. Well, another way, that's a fancy way of saying it, because when we look at these numbers, we recognize that we're counting by tens. That's right. So count with me here. Are you ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So that's counting by 10, the decade numbers. Decade numbers, that's a fancy way. You can say to mom and dad, hey, do you know the decade numbers? I bet they're gonna look at you like, what? But you know what they are. We're just counting by tens. Okay, take this one. We have two words that begin with that sound. And this one is heavier. Find the word that says heavier and say it with me. Heavier. Good. Okay, now let's turn it around and see what that looks like. Heavier. So we're comparing two items, right? We're comparing a strawberry and a banana. And they're telling us, well, of course, a banana is heavier than a strawberry. Heavier. Good. Okay, and the last one on those pages that we just cut out is the word height. Height. Okay, and I bet we know what that means. Height is a word that height is how tall a person or an object is. It's hard to read these backwards and upside down. Height is a word, height is how tall a person or object is, right? So the very first day of school, we came in and we measured ourselves on the wall, and that was to see what our height was coming into kindergarten. Okay, go ahead and do the second page. So this is 274C and 274D. It's the same page, but they've got two different numbers on them. So we have to cut them out. Again, take your time and pause the video so that we can do these together, so that when we've got our flashcards in front of us, we can do it together. Gosh, it feels good to be back. Feels good to be back doing some schoolwork, for sure, for sure. Feels normal to be doing some schoolwork right now, doesn't it? Okay, so again, I'm not done. I still have to continue to cut these out into little mini cards. And we're going to take a look at each one of them to see what they mean. I know that a lot of you already know what these words mean, but maybe you don't know what they mean when we talk about math. And so it's important when we have these that we understand that these are math terms. These are math words and what they mean when it comes to math. Okay, so I've got mine cut out. You go ahead and lay your cards out so you can see the words. And I'm going to start with ones. Ones. Can you find the card that says ones? Good. Okay, here's what happens when we turn it over. Now, I don't think that this is anything new to you because we have been talking about this for a long time. When we take the number 18, it says 18 has 8 ones. So we've done that because we recognize that as a teen number that how many groups of 10 do we have? How many groups of 10 do we have in the number 18? Well, they're showing us that we have one group of 10. And I know that because teen numbers, they give us that little clue with the 1 in the beginning. Okay, I know that 18 has one group of 10 and my next digit is an 8. So that means that I have 8 ones. And when we're saying ones, we're talking about those little single cubes, right? I don't have enough to quite make a group of 10, but I have 8 ones. Okay, good. All right. Find the word that sounds like row. Row. Did you do it? Good. Now let's turn it around and take a look. Again, we see this, it's called a hundreds chart. Looks like what we have been working with at school. But this time, the numbers are going side to side. Okay? Side to side. So when we look at numbers, we're looking at numbers in that row when we go side to side. Remember, up and down was a column. Side to side is a row. Okay, so in this row, we're taking a look at 3, 13, 23, 33, 43, 53, 63, 73, 83, and 93. Now, what's changing in that row? What's changing? We start with 3 and then we go to 13. Well, we're counting by tens. So if I count by tens, can I count by tens and start at 3? Well, sure you can. So it's 3, 13, 23. Look, that second digit is not changing. They all have the 3 in them, but that first digit is changing because we're counting by 10. Okay. Next one, let's take a look at shorter. Find the word that starts with shorter. Shorter. And that's what we're talking about height. So a minute ago, we talked about height and what height means. So when we say something is shorter, let's turn it around to see what it says. It says, the yellow flower is shorter than the red flower. And we can see that, can't we? We can see that it's shorter. Perfect. Okay. Find the flashcard that says 100. It's 2 words. It says 100. Good. And turn it over. That's what we're talking about. 100. Good. Okay. Next one, find the word that says lighter. Lighter. Okay. Earlier, we talked about something being heavier. We talked about the banana being heavier. So if the banana is heavier, then the strawberry is lighter. Lighter. Good. Okay, last one from that page. Longer. Longer. Turn it around. The pencil is longer than the crayon. So you can do this at home. Just find two objects and see which one is longer. Which one is longer? Good. Okay, last page. And you know what? We have 3 empty ones and 3 cards. So we only really need to cut down the middle line to get all of the cards out. We don't have to cut out the blank ones unless you want to, and then you can. Because we want to keep these flashcards together so that we can go back and take a look at them. Again, pause the video if I'm going too quick for you. We got our final 3 words. Our final 3 words. Let's start with the word that begins with a t, t, t. Taller. Taller. Can you find that? Say it with me. Taller. Good. A moment ago, we talked about the yellow flower being shorter. So the red flower is taller. The red flower is taller than the yellow flower. We can see that, can't we? Who's the tallest in your family? Who's the shortest? Those are math words. Okay, now let's talk about shorter. Shorter when we're talking about length. So we have short when we're talking about height, something that is, I'll go back to it. We had shorter in height, and now we have shorter in length. Okay, so length can be, if we lay it out, how long is it? Okay. So the crayon is shorter than the pencil. It's shorter than the pencil. Good. All right, guys, last word, weight. Starts with that w. Now, when we talk about weight, we talk about weight is how heavy an object is. The weight is how heavy an object is. And so it looks like she's got a book and a block. So which one is going to be heavier, right? Looking at that book, it looks like a pretty good one. It's probably going to be heavier. And so her arm, we did this in class, is a little bit heavier when we're comparing. Okay, good. Now, keep those together. You want to have those all together for you. You can ask Mom and Dad if you want to staple them, or you can put them in a bag. If you have a brown bag or a Ziploc bag, don't lose them, because we're going to go back and we're going to talk about them. Especially when we're doing our math, it's always good to go back and remember what these new words were. Not necessarily new words, because we probably have heard of a lot of them, but they're new when we talk about math and what that means. Okay? So the last thing I want you to do, I know this is a super long video. What I want you to do today is just do the first page, okay, which is page 275. And it says, go ahead and put and don't tear it out. Leave it in your book. Directions for number 1. It says, read it with me. Draw a row of 10 objects. Then draw a row with some more objects. Complete the equation. Okay, so remember row, that was our word. And remember, when we draw a row, it needs to be side to side. Okay, so I'm going to use a pen, but I would like you boys and girls to use a pencil. So the very first thing I need to do is I need to draw a row of objects. Okay, so I'm going to draw, let's see, I need to draw a row of 10 objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I don't want you to necessarily do my objects. You can come up with anything else. I drew circles because that was going to be the quickest thing for me to do right now. So which way are my circles going? Are they going up and down like in a column, or are they going side to side like in a row? They're going in a row, and that was the instruction. So make sure that we're making a row, side to side, okay, of objects. Now I did circles. You could do cars. You could draw cars. You could draw squares. You could draw circles, stars, flowers, snails, dogs, bugs, whatever you want to draw. Okay, just make sure that the first row has 10. Okay, and then the next direction, say, then draw a row with some more objects. It doesn't tell us how many more, so I can come up with as many as I want. And I think I'm going to come up with 7. I'm going to come up with 7. So again, I'm going to draw them in a row, and I'm going to keep with my circles because it's just easy to do this while we're on a video. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right, let me show you. Okay, do you see that? So again, my objects are going side to side. Okay, now down below it says complete the equation. So my first group, I had 10. So they have given us that amount there because they asked us to draw 10. But now it said just draw some more, and so I drew 7. So I write that number down here, okay? So 10 plus 7, well, how can I find out what 10 plus 7 is? There are a couple different ways, boys and girls, okay? I can, what's one way that I can figure it out? Go ahead and shout it out really loud so I can hear you. I can count every single object, right? I subitize that this is how many? 10. I can just subitize that that's 10. And now I count on. So if I have 10 up here, then I have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And when I do that, it also reminds me what I know about teen numbers. I know that if I have a teen number, that the first digit is a 1, and the next digit would be my other number. So that would be 1, 7. Makes me 17. Okay, so you pick a different number. I picked 7. I want you to pick a different number and finish that equation down below. And that's all we're doing today, boys and girls. That is it. Your math is done for today. All right.